Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Psych Talk. Today I will answer the most Googled questions that people usually have about psychology, or better, questions that are related to psychology. So the first question that is the most Googled one related to psychology is, how should I handle stress? So to manage stress effectively, we have to first ask ourselves, what is causing stress in my life? Is it too much work? Is it being not satisfied with what I do in life? Is it stress from school? And I think the best way to manage stress is actually to being able to manage your time effectively. And so having like a calendar and having a specific routine and schedule so that you prevent stress from happening, because you know that you have everything in line and that everything you need to do for work or for school or for everything else, you're going to do it a specific day at a specific time. So everything is scheduled. And obviously do not overschedule yourself or over promise things to people. So set boundaries and maintain a balanced lifestyle and prioritize sleep, of course, nutrition, social connections, and make time for things that you enjoy, for example, hobbies or working out. And also yoga can help, deep breathing, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation, etc. But I would say the most important thing that you can do is to actually find out what it is that stresses you out in your the most in your daily life, and reflect on it. So for example, am I working too much? Am I giving too much to other people and not prioritizing what I value? And so once you discover the root cause of your stress, then you can actually make a schedule that works best for you and your lifestyle, and for other people as well, but mainly for you and your lifestyle. And follow that schedule, follow that agenda, that calendar, so that you prevent yourself from working too hard or overscheduling yourself. Okay, the second most Googled question about psychology is, how do I stop a panic attack? So during a panic attack, try these strategies. Focus on deep breathing. So inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 6 seconds. It's important that the inhale is, or better, that the exhale is longer than the inhale, so that you are actually taking in more oxygen and putting out more carbon dioxide. Then ground yourself. Use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So name 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, etc. Remind yourself it's temporary. Panic attacks typically peak within 10 minutes, but eventually they will all go away. Relax your muscles, so progressive muscle relaxation can reduce tension. And use affirmations such as, I am safe, this will pass, etc. The third most Googled question is, how do I cure my depression? So this is complicated because there is no single cure for depression, and every individual has every individual's depression, quote unquote, looks different and needs different types of treatment. Obviously, therapy like cognitive behavioral therapy is highly effective. And things like regular exercise and healthy eating and a good sleep hygiene can help as well. Social support, so connecting with loved ones, can improve mood, and also mindfulness practices like meditation and journaling can help processing, the emotions, the negative emotions. But obviously, there are some people that do not even have the energy to start doing any of these things. Like, they literally wake up and the depression is there. Like, the first thing that they think is how miserable their life is, and they cannot even like get up from their bed. And so what I will say is start very small. So do just one thing in the day that is not that hard to do for you, and that brings you joy. Like, for real, like, start very small and in a very simple way. So for example, let's say that drinking a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, making yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee brings you joy. Just do that. Or maybe drawing, let's say you like drawing. Make a small effort to grab a pencil, grab a notebook, and just draw. And then you work your way up and you increase the amount of activities that bring you joy on a daily basis. And you may start also seeking more social connections, and then maybe let's add some exercise and let's add some journaling, and then we can add all of the other things. But first we have to start with small steps and start with like one little thing that brings you joy. And also challenging these negative thoughts. So is it what I'm thinking serving me, first of all, or even real, if that makes sense? So for example, let's say that you have this thought, this belief that nobody loves you. Try to challenge that thought. Are you sure nobody loves you? What about your mother or your father or your brother or your sister or one of your friends or one of your old friends? So try to challenge these thoughts that are probably not based on reality, right? Or everybody hates me. Let's say you think that, oh, everybody hates me. Are you sure everybody hates you? So let's start with one small thing that brings you joy on a daily basis, and then let's try to challenge these negative thoughts. Okay, the fourth question, the fourth most Google question is, how do I focus with ADHD? Okay, so to improve focus with ADHD, you can do different things. So use the Pomodoro technique. So work for 25 minutes, and then take a 5-minute break. And then you work again for 25 minutes, and then you take another 5-minute break, etc. Limit distractions, so work in a clutter-free, quiet environment. Try maybe to work alongside someone else to stay on a task. And also use visual reminders like timers, checklists, and planners that can help you keep track of tasks. And also engage in movement. Short exercise breaks can help regulate focus as well. 5. What are some breathing exercises for kids? Okay, there is this technique that I really like, which is basically tell your kid to close their eyes and tell them to pretend to blow bubbles slowly to regulate, breathing, or tell them to close their eyes and imagine that they are holding a windmill, and tell them to take a deep breath in and then let it all out to make the windmill rotate. And then you can do these little tricks to help kids understand breathing and make it fun for them as well. There's also another technique called the 5-finger breathing, which is basically tracing each finger while inhaling and exhaling. The belly breathing, so place a hand on the belly, inhale deeply, and feel it rise. So all these little fun exercises for kids. Okay, so number 6. Do I have ADHD? Okay. Common symptoms of ADHD include inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. I will actually go over the DSM diagnostic criteria for ADHD because many people think that they do have ADHD, but in reality they don't. It's just that they have certain symptoms of ADHD. But in order to be diagnosed with ADHD, you have to meet 6 or more of the following symptoms. Okay, before I get into that, I wanted to mention that many people, especially individuals who spend a lot of time on social media, they might experience certain symptoms of ADHD. That doesn't mean that they have ADHD, but maybe their attention span is compromised by social media. Okay, so to be diagnosed with ADHD, you have to have 6 or more of the following symptoms. And they have to have been present for at least 6 months. And this is regarding to the inattention part of the diagnostic criteria for ADHD. Okay, so for this one, again, you have to have 6+ symptoms for children or 5+ for adults, lasting at least 6 months. Okay, 1, often fails to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes. 2, often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks or play activities. 3, often does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. 4, often does not follow through on instructions and fails to finish schoolwork, chores, or workplace duties. 5, often has difficulties organizing tasks and activities. 6, often avoids or is reluctant to engage in tasks that require sustained mental effort. 7, often loses things necessary for tasks, such as school materials, keys, wallets. 8, is often easily distracted by extraneous stimuli. 9, is often forgetful in daily activities. Okay, so if you recognize yourself in at least 5 of those symptoms, you meet the criteria for ADHD, but only inattention ADHD. So inattentive presentation. Whereas for the hyperactivity and impulsivity, you have to meet 6+ symptoms for children, 5+ for adults, lasting at least 6 months, the same thing. But they are different, and so I will read them to you right now. So 1 will be often fidgets with hands or feet or squirms in seat. 2, often leaves seat when expected to remain seated. 3, often runs about or climbs in inappropriate situations. 4, often unable to play or engage in leisure activities quietly. 5, is often on the go or acts as if driven by a motor. 6, often talks excessively. 7, often blurs out answers before a question is completed. 8, often has difficulty waiting for their turn. And 9, often interrupts or intrudes on others. And so if you met at least 5 of these symptoms, you may have ADHD, predominantly hyperactive impulsive presentation. So you will only meet the criteria for hyperactivity and impulsivity. And you might have, of course, the combined presentation of ADHD, which has to meet the criteria for both inattention and hyperactivity and impulsivity. So this is how you know if you have ADHD. Okay, number 7. Why do I feel overwhelmed all the time? Okay, so feeling overwhelmed can stem from stress or anxiety, so high demands, pressure, or uncertainty. It can stem from burnout, so overworking without enough rest. Maybe emotional overload, so suppressing emotions for too long. Unresolved trauma as well, so past experiences that influence current stress that you haven't explored. And then some solutions will be obviously prioritize self-care and set realistic goals, delegate tasks, and also seek social support. Talk to your friends and family, and obviously therapy if needed. And also, whenever you feel overwhelmed, just stop for a second and think, okay, what happened before me feeling overwhelmed? Like, what was the antecedent to my feeling of being overwhelmed? And so that in that way, what caused you to feel that way. And then from there, you can actually, once you rationalize it, you can actually think, okay, what can I do now that I know the root cause of it to actually not feel that way anymore? Okay, number 8, why do I keep doing the same things over and over again? Well, I'm not sure how to interpret this question. This could be due to habit formation. So obviously, neural pathways reinforcing repeated behaviors. I'm not sure if it's in an obsessive compulsive way. So we know that OCD is basically the repetitive behaviors of OCD are driven by anxiety, and once you repeat those behaviors, your anxiety goes down. There's also conditioning, so past reinforcement leading to repetitive actions, positive reinforcement, and sometimes a lack of awareness, so mindlessly following patterns without questioning them. So I'm not sure if this question is based on OCD or just a lack of awareness, etc. Number 9, are mental health and emotional health the same? Well, so let's start first with mental health. So the overall mental health is the overall well-being of cognitive function, thinking patterns, and psychological resilience. Whereas emotional health is the ability to manage and express emotions appropriately. So while they do overlap, I feel like emotional health is a subset of mental health. Number 10, can mental health issues be cured? Okay. Yes and no. So some mental health conditions like depression, anxiety can be treated. Some chronic conditions like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia may not be cured but can be managed with therapy, medication, and lifestyle changes. Unfortunately, if you have bipolar disorder or if you're schizophrenic, you're going to always have that condition, but it can be managed nowadays with so many different things that it's almost gonna feel like you don't have it in a way. Whereas other disorders like anxiety, depression, can be cured or treated with therapy and other things, obviously. And we also have to be careful when we have to differentiate if the bipolar disorder or the schizophrenia is induced by drugs, because if it is induced by drugs, it may happen that if you stop using the specific drug, then that specific disorder will stop presenting its symptoms. Sometimes it can stay. It depends on for how long you have been using the drug or abusing the drug. And so this is it for this episode. This was very interesting for me, especially because I was not expecting these 10 questions to be the most Googled ones about psychology. For some reason, I thought that people were interested more in, like personality disorders, but this was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We're called Psych Talk Pod. Thank you for listening.